what I'm trying to say is that we're now at a point of the day where we do the bottom line. The bottom line is the final portion of the show. Mohamed suggested that we call it the Terrible Twos.
Sorry, Mohamed.
But
it's called the bottom line.
It's the final two questions of the show. Really the most important two questions, I would say. First question is, we just watched The 100 on Netflix. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this show? This series, this first episode of the series.
I should have probably thought about this before the show because I knew that this question was coming.
It's and okay, now you can talk it out. See how
I'm just stalling for time while I think about what am I going to rate the 100 on a scale of 1 to 100.
No. 1 to 10.
That'll
screw up everything. Yeah.
1 to 100. Let's see.
Divided by 10, as Mohamed suggested.
So it did have, in the opening I said, another one of these shows, but I was joking, obviously, because this is a pretty original premise, and I thought that they had some good ideas with it. It's always good whenever you have like an ethical dilemma, like this guy is thinking, okay, should I kill off a bunch of people so that the rest of the people can live on this space station that's running out of life support?
Yeah.
But the acting was not great. The writing was not great.
Do you feel the acting was not great? I mean, was it like they were actually given specific tasks and they didn't do it well, or do you feel?
So, I guess mostly I'm thinking about the kids. Acting wasn't great. Like the people up in the space station wasn't bad. Obviously, Desmond from Lost is a great actor, and he did a good job with it. But mostly I'm thinking of, I guess, about the kids, kind of what you guys were talking about. Like with the writing, it's every other scene is like, oh, let's flirt with this person, or man, check out her butt, or like, I guess they didn't really say that, but they were all doing it.
Yeah, they were all thinking it.
Yeah,
you could see it in their eyes.
Yeah,
and the director was like, "You guys do it too. Everybody, pay attention to this part."
I didn't feel the acting was bad in the sense I didn't feel like anybody had a poor delivery or was deviating from what writers wrote them. I think they just got they
got handed something terrible, and so they really couldn't do much with that.
That's my impression. But feel free to disagree.
Mm-hmm.
No, that makes sense. And so I guess all those things considered, I guess I'll have to give it 62 out of 100.
Okay, 6.2, not bad. Not bad. 6.2 from Michael Kenyon Rosenberg. Tayliss, scale of 1 to 10, what would you give the 100?
So I also feel very similarly about the plot, the writing. I feel like when a show I'm watching, almost every other line, I'm going, ooh, that writing though. And it's not necessarily the actor's fault that they're given this line that's a little cringy. So I think, the characters did, or the actors did deliver what they were given essentially. I'd say probably a 4 out of 10.
40 out of 100. All right.
Yeah, 40 out of 100.
Mohamed, out of 1 to 10 or sure. 1 to 100 or 1 to 100?
I was going to say 6, but I liked it better than Michael, so I'll have to say 6.4.
64. Nice.
64. Out of 100. Out of 1 to 1,000, what would you give this?
Then it would probably be a little bit higher than that Roman movie, or Greek movie, whatever you want to call it. No, nobody.
Oh, the 700, 200.
You
I
know,
remember there was one that had a number, but I don't remember what it was.
it was the 300.
300.
It's
300,
yeah.
It's somewhere between that old Greek movie and the sci-fi movie from like 10 years ago, or sci-fi
I see.
series from 10 years ago, or whenever it was.
The 4400.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's right in that realm.
Make more sense.
What I was feeling, let me walk you through it.
On a scale of 300 to 4,400, what?
The first third on a scale of 300 to 4,400, 300 being a 1 and 4,400 being a 10, I would put it right around 4,100.
It was very good. I agree.
The
first
middle
bit.
part, once they start with the spaceship antics and guys floating around being weird, suddenly it kind of turns more into like a 3,700, right? Middle of the road. Then the final third is like a 3,500, you know, from 300 to 4,400. So overall, I
That's
feel
pretty
like
high.
I feel like overall, great premise, poor execution. All right, I'm going to bump it up 4.5. 4.5 overall, and it's a generous 4.5 because the premise is really good and they still have a ton of potential. I don't think they're going to fulfill it, but that's what I give it, 4.5. Now,
Hit or miss. Hit or miss.
yeah. Final question. This is it. This is the big one. For the purposes of, you know what? No, 4.4. For the, just right at the 44, 4.3 final answer, 4.3. Because
Why don't you come down to my level?
that's before we started this, I had a 4. I put it as a 4 in my mind, but all these numbers, I like numbers. I got all excited. So
That's fair. That's fair.
4.3 final answer, unless I think about it more. For the purposes of this podcast, we all had to watch The 100 on Netflix from the CW. Now that this podcast is over and you're free to move about the internet, of your own volition, would you watch the second episode, Michael?
I'm going to give a shameful yes.
Yes. Wow. I was wondering.
Shameful yes.
You've been teetering. You've been the devil's advocate.
Yeah.
You've been like, well, you know, I'm not saying I liked it, but, you know, it's not that bad.
It's interesting the way you've worded the question. You said, would you instead of will you? Would it be different if you were asked, will you?
Well, yeah, because, right, Michael?
Yes,
because if they say, will you, then it's almost like you're committing. Like, well, you have to factor in, do I have time to do this?
That's fair.
Do
That's
I
fair.
have Netflix? It's just like, of your
That's
own
fair.
volition, theoretically speaking,
Gotcha.
would you want to watch the next episode, or are you done?
A shameful yes.
Beautiful.
Just because I really like the premise, and I think that I agree that they can't. There is potential
Lots.
for them to do some interesting things with it, and you know, I like looking at attractive people, so that's a thing.
Mike's been a prisoner for all of his adolescence too.
Yeah. No, but I think you know, I think I agree that they didn't quite pull off what Lost did, but I liked that they were kind of going in that direction, and so that to me is kind of compelling. But a shameful yes, yeah.
Nice. Tayliss, shameful or unshameful, would you watch the next one? The second?
Shameless no. I feel like if it was more involved in the politics on the space station and less on a bunch of teenagers that have no survival instincts whatsoever, I think I might give it more of a try, but such a heavy focus on characters that all look the same and don't really bear any interest to me, I'm going to have to say no.
Mm-hmm. Well,
fair.
Mohamed.
I mean, the truth is in history, so I did. So, yeah.
I guess that's a yes.
Yeah. Right.
How
Okay.
about you, Ryan?
This is it right here. All the marbles come down to this last question right here.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy no for me. It's a
I
no
thought so,
from
yeah.
me. Although I will be messaging Mohamed later and saying, so what does happen? Because I'm curious
It's wild.
It's all over
I'm
the place.
curious, and maybe
But it's by season. It's not like it's all over the place in the first season. It's,
right, maybe what
like
you tell me
Lost.
will change my mind. But at this point, in a vacuum, I watch this and I see a lot of potential. I see something that I was pretty interested in, and I say, "Oh, this is the direction they're taking this great premise." That's so sad. Why would they do that?
Yeah.
So it's got to be a no. I'm sorry to say, unless I want to hurt my own feelings. Anyway, that was really cool. Everybody at home, if you'd like us to review honestly a series that you love or hate or created, even if you're willing to gamble like that, just in the description box, sorry, not the description box, the comments section, say WTF Empty Nest or
The Last
WTF Good Times or WTF Thundercats.
Oh.
Why does this keep happening to me every time I say series? Anyway,
Technology
yeah.
is listening.
And leave us a like.
Yeah.
Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell icon and the face for notifications.
Yeah. Shout out to Josh Sussman of Glee, who did that better than Michael or I have ever done.
Right,
He's like, hey,
yeah.
now's a great time to go check and make sure you've subscribed. And we're like, this is great. We should do this like he does it. He's really smart.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I wish I could be like Josh Sussman.
Yeah. Very special thanks to Tayliss Forge for joining us and classing up the joint. And a very special thanks to Mohamed Noor for joining us and making us all smarter than we really are.
Yay.
I think that's it. Is that it, Michael? Did we cover everything?
Yeah, there's just one last thing.
Yeah, the final thing is we always have to remember what Michael tells us, which is...
Don't forget to watch the first 100 of things.